Deer season is coming quick, and for us bow hunters, prep is everything. Today, I'm sharing the full checklist I run through every year to make sure I'm ready for when that buck steps out. I'll be covering shooting practice, gear tuning, physical prep, scouting, and yes, I will be flinging some arrows while we chat. First up, shooting. This isn't just about launching arrows. I build a routine. Every draw, every anchor point, every release, I want it burned into muscle memory. I like to practice short sessions daily instead of doing one big weekend shoot because consistent reps train your form way better than marathon shoots when you're tired and sloppy. I really like to focus on realistic shooting distances for me, typically 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50. Personally, I'm not comfortable shooting a deer at 50 yards, but to each their own. And then I start every session with a cold shot, just one arrow. I don't range it. I like to have to guess because you're not always going to get a chance to range it. If a big buck walks in real quick on you, you only get one shot whenever you're out there in the tree stand, unless you're lucky. Next up, gear. Before the season, I like to run through every piece of my equipment, make sure my strings aren't frayed, my cable's not loose. I like to make sure that my sight has a level third axis. Then I like to move on to broadheads. Don't just assume they fly straight right out of the package like your field points do. Prove it. I like to spin test every broadhead to make sure that it is perfectly aligned, and I shoot them into my target. There's no better test than actually letting them fly. And if I find anything that's not correct, I like to fix it now instead of whenever I have a buck at 25 yards in front of me. At that point, there's really nothing you can do. This step is really just a boost of confidence, knowing that whenever I get 25 feet up in the tree, I don't have to ask myself if my gear's gonna fail because I know it won't. Little side note, I'm shooting at 40 yards today. Scouting is where the season really begins. I split it into two parts. I do digital with like Onyx or Spartan Forge. If either of you two have any reps watching this, hit me up, let's work together. And then I also do boots on the ground, like going and looking for deer sign myself, because those maps will never show you everything. They don't pick up on trails, they don't pick up on tracks or any of that kind of stuff. You have to actually get out there and do some of that yourself. On the map, I like to look for funnels, bedding cover, food sources, or water edges, anywhere that the deer are naturally going to be attracted to. Then for boots on the ground, I'll check for fresh sign like rub lines, tracks, and trails. I hang my cameras where I think bucks will travel. Nowadays, everyone uses cellular cameras, but if you don't, make sure you pick a spot and you leave it. You do not need to go check it every day. You're just gonna blow that spot up. Less intrusion means better results. During this time, it's also when I'm hanging my ladder stands or prepping my trees for my saddle setup, because come opening week, I wanna slip in quiet and deadly, not make a bunch of noise hanging my sets. So what I like to do is I like to set a timer on my phone and hold full draw for about 30 to 40 seconds, sometimes even a minute, to mimic when the deer is hung up behind some brush and being stubborn, not wanting to come out and give you a shot. I also practice some weird shots like off angles and leaning around the tree, because a deer doesn't always step out in front of you and pose broadside for you. It's never going to be perfect. And then on the mental side, I practice slowing myself down and relaxing, because sometimes that adrenaline takes over and you are just flinging arrows at nothing. I'll go through my shot process out loud sometimes. Draw, anchor, make sure your bubble's level, release. That helps keep the nerves under control when your adrenaline skyrockets. Obviously, if you're in the stand, you don't want to do it as loud as I just did, but you get the point. Just whisper to yourself if you have to. And another thing you can work on is realistic practice from your actual hunting setups. Now this one's a big deal. You need to practice like you hunt. If you hunt out of a tree stand, go shoot your bow out of a tree stand. If you hunt out of a saddle, go shoot your bow out of a saddle. If you hunt out of a ground blind, go practice shooting out of a chair. You also need to practice shooting in your hunting clothes. Those bulky jackets and thick gloves that you're gonna have in the late season. There's nothing worse than being in the tree and finding out that your sleeve catches your string. The more realistic your practice is, the fewer surprises you'll have when the actual shot happens. Like myself, I know a lot of you probably live in town right now. I can't always get out to the woods to practice in my saddle or tree stand. I live about 2 hours south of where I typically hunt at. I've got a few properties up there, and I just can't swing it all the time. So you've got to work with what you have, but if you can, get out and shoot in realistic scenarios. It's only going to benefit you later on. Another thing that I like to prep early is my clothes. I like to wash them in a scent-free detergent and store them in like a storage container or tote. I like to check my boots, backpack, and stand gear to make sure there's not any metal on metal contact. If there is, get a roll of stealth strip. That stuff is crucial. Nothing will ruin a hunt like having a buck at 20 yards and accidentally banging your release off of your stand. There is nothing natural about the sound of metal on metal contact, and the deer know that. So that's my full prep checklist as a bow hunter. Dialed in shooting, tuned gear, smart scouting, physical practice, realistic setups, and scent control. It's a lot of little tedious steps, but trust me, skip one and it'll bite you in the rear. Do it all, and when that buck walks in, you'll be ready. Drop a comment down below with your own preseason routine. I'm kind of curious what everyone else is doing to prep for the season. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Good luck this fall and shoot straight.